Hey, Perryn, how are you doing today?
Is it good?
Good deal. Hey, so we got Perryn Olson today, and he agreed to do a little Q&A with us. We're doing a little different this week. Usually we do a written Q&A, but I thought, hey, let's try to do something different and have a little video chat.
Yeah.
So, Perryn, why don't you tell a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I like different. So I probably have a little different viewpoint of a lot of your subscribers and readers. I've been working in the construction industry about 20 years off and on. Actually started in the marketing world with a specialty in construction, and that just kind of became a passion. I love working with people in construction, the multi-generational companies, and just seeing my clients' work go up and kind of having a hand in that, either helping them win it, promote it, recruit the team members, and then worked kind of through the agency ranks and did a lot of public speaking, wrote a book on construction marketing, all that fun stuff, and then she kind of took a step into internal world at a regional IT firm based here in New Orleans. And about 2 years ago, I started working for a company that's a construction company, an engineering firm, and a technology company that we actually acquired, a robotics company a few months ago. So I get my hands in tech and construction, and soon to be construction technology. So
Exciting stuff.
it keeps you busy. It's fun. So
A little bit different than what I do, but so it's funny because marketing is definitely something I've never really thought too much about.
yeah,
And recently, all right, you're going to create a newsletter. Well, now you
yeah,
got to learn how to market it. So I've really kind of gone down a rabbit hole of marketing, and how people take like podcasts and use them for both
hmm
personal development and a lot of businesses using podcasts and that sort of stuff.
yeah.
For brand awareness.
Yeah,
It's kind
actually,
of
I ran across a large mechanical subcontractor the other day. A friend of mine is their chief marketing officer, and they posted they're doing an internal podcast.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so they're keeping it in the ranks. So
What do
they're kind
they
of
they
taking. I think they're taking their newsletter and probably converting it to a podcast format.
they just like interviewing like internal people and kind of like employee spotlights or
I don't know. She kind of posted on LinkedIn that they did kind of a demo. They actually used another friend company kind of set up to do the podcast, to learn the equipment, get through everything, and then doing that. So that's just really cool to see. Even like, I mean, they're not a huge enterprise, but they're probably 600-700 workers, mechanical sub. It's multi-location, so it makes sense that you would kind of have such a strong internal communications or internal marketing.
yeah.
But to do a podcast format, that was really cool.
Yeah, that is cool. My mind's right. I got a bunch of ideas right now of how
Yeah,
we can do that with my company, AGCM. But yeah, so I kind of go look at all the subscribers we got, and it's a real wide range of people. I mean, I've got a
yeah,
lot of people and people reaching out to me that are obviously construction managers, superintendents. There's a lot of people, finance and recruiters, and just kind of, I guess, just in general, marketing is probably not the forefront of everyone's mindset. Especially if you're a construction manager or something like that. But how can somebody use marketing or be
yeah,
marketing maybe themselves to maybe become indispensable with their company or really kind of
yeah,
help their company and or career?
yeah. I think construction is an interesting one because you don't put construction and marketing kind of hand in hand, but
Yeah.
it's probably one of the more visible industries of marketing. Like, and I can tell you kind of the negative side. I had a friend going after a huge, like, multi-million-dollar project years ago that they'd been spending years on. And the day they went to go sign the deal with the client, one of their truck drivers with the company logo on the back of the truck decided to cut off and give a one-finger salute to the CEO of the company. So they didn't win that job. So I mean, marketing can kind of play defense, and I tell my team all the time, like, look, I need you guys to play good defense. You got to take care of business, the blocking and tackling. Like, you still got to do good work.
Yeah.
And then kind of going past that, okay, how do we play offense with marketing and people that are more in the field? And it really starts to just be likable. People buy what they like, who they like and trust. Like, so if you don't like your superintendent, you don't like your project manager, the client's not going to come back. But we've all been on those projects where clients say, hey, you can have the next project if that person comes with me. Like, my company pulled somebody out of retirement because one of our clients really wanted him, and he's like, oh, for that client, I'll come out. Like, it was a cool little thing. It was like, he was kind of bored, and it was the bright client. He loved working with them. They loved working with him, and it was that trust factor. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the basic thing, I think, for people that are in the field or even in finance. Like, just be nice to work with, and then keep taking it kind of a step further. Next is, okay, ask about the next project. Ask what else they're doing. Ask what their other projects are. If you work with a developer, they're probably working on multiple projects. Ask what they like about the other projects. Ask what aren't going on. Give that feedback back to operations. one thing I love about Rex is we're always in this process improvement mindset. Things might be fine, but could they be better? And sometimes you could ask about a project that's across the state with a different contractor you've never met, and they're complaining about something. You're like, ooh, we do that too. Let me fix that. Like, so it's just kind of taking this step further. You don't have to get out and do sales. You don't have to go to chamber networking events to do sales. A lot of it is just do good work and then start asking the questions about kind of, what's next? What else do you guys like? And start teasing up that next one, because that's even better than a business developer taking them to lunch or golf. Like, it's that superintendent. People care about who they work with day in, day out. And then if you really want to start getting into it, kind of the newer thing coming into the industry that you and I were actually starting to talk about via email was account-based marketing is a new buzzword. And it's very big in the tech software as a service or SaaS industry, that it's this thing called account-based marketing, but it's really, to me, like old school sales meets modern technology, where you take the old school sales of somebody who's personalizing a message. They're not just calling, it's not these spam messages. They're going to send out 10,000 messages and it's, insert first name here instead of your name, Matt. Right. But it's more like, hey, Matt, I see you're a construction manager and you're working on these kind of, I checked out your website. You work on these kind of projects. My company works with a lot of construction managers that do similar projects in your area. I thought we should talk, and here's some value proposition why. That's a much more likely to get clicked on or linked or get a meeting or any of those things than somebody just that, shotgun approach that you just kind of hit a million people and hope somebody hits. Like, so that's what's kind of coming, is that if you kind of bring it back down to the end result, I think we've all worked on projects that we really wish we didn't. And it's a bad fit is what it is. I had a CEO called it round peg, oval hole. The round peg's blaming the oval hole for, it looks like it fit, but it's grinding. The oval hole's blaming the round peg, and it just grinds. And it's not as obvious as the round peg square hole thing, but it's just each party blames the other. And essentially it just fit, and it's not anyone's doing anything wrong. And a lot of that gets traced back to sales, which gets traced back to even targeting. So with account-based marketing, you're actually setting up saying, okay, these are the kind of clients we do really well with, or the kind of projects we do really well. They're even geography. Like, you're trying to figure that out, and you actually build out like a formula for it. So a client should have to score over 20 out of 40 points or some 30 out of 50, whatever kind of score, to even go after targeting them. So it's kind of the, the industry term we call go, no go. Yeah. So with account-based marketing, you're doing a go, no go to even pursue a target. And then you go through the, meet them and stuff, and kind of maybe do another round of this formula, because I have a lot of my business developers kind of do a two-step formula, because some of you kind of do on the surface. We know their location, their size, kind of projects based on their website. Then we got to get in, what are their processes? What do they like to work with? What are their financing? What are their goals? Just kind of go through a two-step one. And then actually when a project gets brought to you, then you go through the go, no go. So it's kind of and it sounds crazy that you're kind of doing it. You're telling people no to work, but the whole intent with it is to not waste your time on people that are not a good fit. Right. And it's, you might get the job and win the project, but man, it's just a grind. And that's when business developers and marketers just don't get along in the field. Like, I've seen superintendents chase business developers off the job site. Like, it's like, no, you better get out of here. This is a bad project. And they know it. They can't necessarily put their finger on it, but a lot of times it's essentially just client fit. Yeah. So going back to really square one is, should we even talk to this potential client is really the key question. And then as you continue to go through, you just kind of keep going through these go, no goes, even to when the project's over. Do you want to work with this client again? Sometimes it's your choice, sometimes it's not. But, I think that's one of the big things for kind of the field people to understand, is that, and have that kind of two-way dialogue of like, hey, this is a great project. We love this. This is challenging. This is fun. This is in our wheelhouse. Or in the vice, this is way out of bounds. Like, we should never go after this. And just having that conversation and start quantifying, why is it out of bounds? Why should we not do this? And it's, because, and you see this in a lot of industries. I think construction is easier to see because the projects are so much longer. It's not this, project in one day and out the next. I mean, it could be a multi-year project, and you can see all the different facets. Why was stuff bad? Did the client have unrealistic expectations and all these? Like, you can really start narrowing down this. The downside is, because we have such long projects, we generally don't have a lot of projects that get the quantity of. It's like at Rex, we do a lot of light industrial, multifamily, senior living, things like that. We don't do a lot of quick retail. It's just not our style. It's not who we are. We'll go do we've done O'Reilly and AutoZone's like distribution centers. We haven't built an O'Reilly or, AutoZone's store. That's just not what we do,
Yeah.
So it's knowing that and not chasing that. Clients sometimes will ask, hey, can you do something you normally don't do? That's about the relationship, not necessarily about that pursuit.
You see it, you talk about, kind of really narrowing in and niching down
Yeah.
what you do. Do you see advantage in kind of diversity and having, if you get really into distribution centers type thing, and then
Yeah,
the supply chain gets all messed up and they stop building distribution centers?
Yeah, I think it's good for companies to have multiple niches. I mean, I niched out early on in my career with construction marketing. With the company I was working with, actually did other niches as well. So we kind of found the balance. And I've seen companies go belly up because they just picked kind of the wrong niche. But one of the beauties of having a niche industry is you generally know what's coming. Like I've got a person on my team, one of the engineering teams we have does steel connection designs. And I have one of our business developers, Wendy, who's phenomenal at knowing just the steel industry. She knows the ebbs and flows. She knows the cycle. She's like, look, we're going to have this cycle that's going to peak at this couple of years. Like she can predict within a month or two of this cycle. That's because she's been in the steel industry for so long. I'm like, I had no idea it was just this formulaic almost. So right now they're kind of riding a wave, and they know even just the ebbs and flows of it's winter soon, so they're gonna have certain projects slow down, and like she gets even the nuances of like annual seasonal cycles versus multi-year cycles, and so you kind of get to know that. And that's what I was at a presentation years ago, and somebody was asking about that, and she's like, well, my healthcare marketing company went belly up because they changed the HIPAA laws. I'm like, you should have seen that coming. It wasn't like you should have had a few years on that coming. So it's something that they just need to be aware of. And it's just like when I got into construction marketing, I started reading E&R. It's why am I reading E&R? I don't know half the stuff in there, but I'm trying to see what the trends are. I'm reading who the players are. I'm just understanding what the industry. I can now have an educated conversation with my clients. If I wasn't specializing in construction, I wouldn't read E&R. Like there's not much in there for me, as a marketer. So that's the other beauty of it. You can really own the industry and go after it. And I think you see project managers do that as well. Even sometimes they don't even realize it. Like superintendents tend to be more task oriented or like discipline oriented, but project managers, like that person's great at building data centers. Give them another data center. Like they can almost accidentally do it. And sometimes it's a passion, sometimes it's luck. They're amazing in front of the client. It's like the client that we brought back at retirement. That client he's great at distribution centers, and the client loves him for that.
Kind of switched just a little bit there.
Yeah.
You touched on something a second ago, but like, what do you think the best way for kind of create intentional interactions between the operations side and like the business development side, and like so that you kind of get the kind of a full circle feedback?
I think you need to have some meetings that are intentional like that, like debriefs. You should have the marketer business developer in a debrief with projects, even if it's like a milestone. And I think just that open communication, like one of my guys in the field, he's great at sending me pictures in the field. Like the other day I shot, I'm like, hey man, you're great. Yeah, any new pictures recently? Like just having that open dialogue, like I feel comfortable asking him versus some of the other people I don't know as well. But I think having that open dialogue of process improvement is part of it. And then just the one thing I always tell marketers when they get in this industry is like, get your boots dirty, get out in the field, because you'll get to know these people that generally aren't in the office. You get to go see what you do. And generally when I find, like I'm working with a friend that his marketer didn't work out, it just wasn't a good fit. She left. He's not too upset about it. Like, and I'm like, he's like, we started pinpointing like what was the issue. She didn't know what they did. She worked there for almost a year and didn't really understand what they did. They were an MEP contractor, and she's like, I don't think after a year she understood what MEP really stood for. Like she understood the acronym, but she didn't actually understand what they did.
Yeah.
Because she never went out in the field. She never went to a job site, and some of the job sites were literally across the street. Like she just, I'm like, tag along with your because they do construction administration as well. Like I'm like, just tag along with him. Go on a site visit. Do a ride along for a day. Like, and man, ride alongs are awesome for marketers. That's one of the things I miss because I work remote, and I don't get to do the ride alongs with the project managers and the supers or anyone anymore. And because that's something you just go in the car and start asking questions, and then a lot of times I would bring like a notepad or something. That's a blog post or I can write project sheets in the car almost just by let's drive to lunch or drive the job site. What was different about this? And so I think it's just opening up that dialogue, and hopefully every company has a culture that somebody can pick up the phone and call someone else in the company too.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, hell, I guess it's like everything. It's just building relationships from
Yeah.
both directions, and then even I think I've seen if even if you have real good relationships, it's still I think you do got to sit down and create those intentional maybe milestone meetings to like,
Yeah.
all right, hit debriefs, and don't wait till the very end where all right, we're gonna do a post mortem thing. I guess it's
Yeah.
along the way.
Well, and unfortunately, marketing in a lot of construction companies is kind of pigeonholed as they're the people that do the swag, the programs, or just the brochure, or just the
Yeah.
brochures, or just the proposals. They don't actually kind of open up the what else they can do. Like a lot of times, I'm brought in and stuff like, we want to go after this client. What do we do? So we start with that formula. We start with like an org chart. We start building who are our entry points, and then we start making customized pursuit graphics essentially for them. We'll take our normal company brochure and okay, what do they care about? What markets are they in? What are they building? So it is more of an intentional. We're working together, and that's the other big thing about that account-based marketing term that's really different from the past was business development marketing sometimes never talked, and that's something that's kind of a newer thing that you're seeing a lot of the more successful companies are really being marketing led, and it's still kind of a transition. Like when I develop a website, it's generally the first step is like, let's not lose business with our website. Like if you go meet some network event, you go meet them at lunch, a golf tournament, whatever, they're gonna get a business card, they're gonna go look you up. And
Yeah.
there's some stat from years ago that's been held steady by a research firm in this space that like that was a 92 to 94% of business to business referrals look you up online before they ever call you. So let's not lose business from our website. And then the next step is how do we start gaining business from our website? And then you eventually can turn it into like an ATM. Like it just starts creating money. And that sounds weird from a construction company's perspective because you don't actually sell buildings on your website. It's not like an e-commerce website. And I've had this conversation with plenty of I call old timer CEOs. And yeah, but you can lose a lot of buildings from your website. And a lot of recruits, when I started in this industry about 20 years ago, a lot of the work I was doing was heavy civil public contractor. I wasn't helping them win business. I was helping them win new employees. And they grew from about 250 to 550 employees of the 10 years I worked with them as a consultant and in the agency role. And it was the newsletters, the website, and the trade, like recruiting trade shows, not actually client trade shows. And it was a big shift. And that's, people kind of forget about that. So making sure marketing has kind of a voice or even a seat at the table, ideally, is a big step. It's not just job site signage and the safety vets or even just the brochure or the
Yeah.
proposals, letting them help lead is a big thing. And that's a huge shift I'm seeing in construction and kind of all the professional services, accounting, legal, IT, all those that marketing is now starting to kind of lead.
That's right. Every time hear about, it's funny you say that. Like anytime I hear about a new company, the first thing I do is Google. I'm like, who are they? What do they do? You see their website, and again, it's like you see a
Yeah.
website, and it's like, oh, that's kind of trash, and like,
Yeah. Oh,
it gives you
there's plenty
opinion.
of bad websites in construction. I've looked at quite a bit of them. Probably at one point I used to go through the NR 400 list just looking at websites, just trying to get like what's the style, what are the trends, who's doing what, tracking who was updating the web. Like I was a huge thing I used to do every year. It was even in the NR 400, and like you're talking companies that are 100, 150 million and up with easily 100 employees or so. Like there's some bad websites out there for these big companies. And it's like, I remember a friend actually went to go work at a company and I was like, wow, it's kind of small for you. And she's like, no, we're $1 billion company. I'm like, oh, so like, hence why they hired me. Like, so it was, yeah, she became their chief marketing officer, and in the few years she was there, like she transformed the company very quick. And now I think she actually went from director of marketing to chief marketing officer long term because of that. Like, she revolutionized that company. So yeah, perception can be a reality for a lot of people. And think about construction. I mean, your trucks are everywhere, your job sites are everywhere. Like, there's many times I'm walking around the street, I'm on downtown, I'm at a new location, I'm Googling companies that drive by. Like,
Yeah.
it's who is this? What's going on? It's just because I know this face. I'm like, okay, I've never heard of these people. Who are they? And so it's websites. A lot of times that is, if you're not getting a lot of forms, like people filling out your website, the forms,
Mm.
they're still looking at you. And
Yeah.
what do they think? It's like I say, you might not sell a building from your website, but you're definitely losing buildings or
Right.
whatever roads, whatever else you're building. But
That account-based marketing idea, like how do people, I mean, if somebody's trying to build their network or build a personal brand, does that apply?
I think it still does. I mean, you and I met kind of through that. You started this publication and
Yeah.
newsletter, and I started following because you know, fanboy, and then some with construction, and so there's a person I reached out to you and like, hey, let's connect. And reach out, hey, this might be an interesting topic. It wasn't, hey, I'm going to go hit up 1,000 podcast people and see if I can get on their, So I think, as you're reaching out to people on LinkedIn, as you're getting to know people, it's better if you can go to like a chamber event. It's better to talk to like 3 or 4 people and have a good conversation to hand out your business card to 300 people. Like it just, I remember even at like my old high school has a business network, and this young kid out of college like literally handed personal business card, and he literally went hand to hand and made sure everyone had his card. And I told him like, hey man, let's talk. Like, let me give you some advice. Go look in the trash. I'm like, go look in the trash can. He's like, what? I'm like, your business card's in that trash can. He's like, no, I just gave him the out. I'm like, I've only been here 5 minutes. I'm like, go look in that trash can. Your business card's in there. And yeah, sure enough, it was quite a few of them. And so I was like, look, just talk. Sit down and talk. Use your business card as a lead behind, not an introduction. And like and I think that works in the digital space too. I mean, we all get LinkedIn invites from people that were like, who? What country are you even from? Like it's but I got it, somebody from Zimbabwe, and it was a construction engineer message me, hey, I read one of your podcasts or your article you wrote in AGC a few years ago, and I found you online, and like, yeah, I connected with him. I don't know him from Zimbabwe, but I'd much rather that than somebody who's across the street that I'd have never met that just spams me. Like it still comes back to that human element. So I think if you're doing account-based marketing for yourself or for the company, it's still about being authentic, who's the right fit, and then trying to have that relationship. And the intent with account-based marketing is essentially disqualify people early so you can spend more time with the people that matter. I mean, that's really what that essence is. It's not that complicated. Who do you spend the most time with? Your family, who you care about, and your friends, who you care about. Like, kind of forget about everyone else. Like,
yeah, think about LinkedIn. Like when I started posting more, obviously you get a lot more messages and stuff, and people, and like a lot more people actually spamming you, and it's real easy and clear to see like who's actually trying to talk to you and who's just, and like, and it's just funny. It's something you start noticing when you start getting into that. But
it's crazy what that is. But I've also met people like in person in LinkedIn. Like it's funny is like you meet somebody on LinkedIn and then you actually meet in person. You feel like you know them. And it's a really cool feeling of that. And that's one of the powers of LinkedIn, where like you meet somebody at a conference, and then there's some annual conferences I go to, and I feel like LinkedIn, or even some of them on Facebook, like you keep this connection going from between the years. And that's one of the powerful things of social media. It was never meant to be a spam device, but it's an easy low cost tool for a lot of people, so they do it. So
no, LinkedIn's been cool. I feel like it's a lot more genuine. People are genuine on there, and kind of heck, I could refer to a guy I met on there, and I kind of met him for like a blind date at a coffee place and chatted with him and stuff, and then referred his resume, and he's actually starting to work for us here in a week or two. So it all worked out.
Yeah, I've plenty of those kind of instances too, and it's just and you meet them, you felt like you knew them already. Like it just it feels genuine, it feels real. So
that's cool. Kind of wrap up here. Is there anything else you could add on just marketing in general that just maybe somebody that's not a marketer could take with them?
I like to use the term brand ambassador. Everyone that works for a company is a brand ambassador, especially if you're wearing the hat, the safety vest, the trucks. Like you represent the company, whether good or bad. Like the one finger salute example I gave earlier, that's a real story, and I've heard it more than once, not from the same person. Like it's it's one reason construction company gets a better app, because essentially most people associate it with traffic. So it doesn't showcase really what these companies do. So it's kind of keep in mind, like the very minimum is you represent your company, even if you're not wearing the the company logo and stuff like that. People know you work at the company. It's on Facebook, it's on LinkedIn. It's just people know you work at that company. So you represent that company. So that's kind of the first piece of that, is still that you're part of that brand, and you think of yourself as a brand ambassador. You might change just how you do things. It's that, because man, I've seen a lot of companies that an employee shoots them in the foot. And think about how you shopped retail. Like, I prefer Lowe's over Home Depot because of the employees, the employee engagement. It's products are almost the same, the storms are almost the same, orange versus blue. The difference is that Lowe's, I can generally find somebody and they generally know what they're talking about, versus Home Depot, I got to find somebody who's generally in the wrong department and I can't find anything. So because I'm not a professional.
I have the exact opposite experience around here. Like I go Home Depot because the Lowe's people aren't good.
Well, but also you're in the industry, and I'm like in it, but I'm not. So like when I go, I have a lot of questions, and it's a lot of like I know they're kind of like, man, I wish you were a real contractor. Like I don't know if it'd be dangerous.
That's hilarious.
But it's so, and but like my father-in-law, who built his own house and helped me build, a lot of the trade work in my own house. He goes, he loves Home Depot because they leave him alone. Like it just, you fit your own. Each one has their own. And if you start looking at things, there's a lot of companies, they all kind of find their lane. And I think that's the other thing I really like about companies. What's our lane? What are we good at? It's every time somebody comes, hey, we should go after this pursuit. There's a lot of money behind it. Like, yeah, guys, we don't build roads. We don't we don't do this. This is in our space. If it is, let's figure out how to get in that space. Like some of them's an easy extension. Like my MEP engineering firm is looking at going into lighting design. That's an easy extension. Maybe a key hire, a key sub consultant. But we're not going into civil engineering. That's too much of a departure for what we want to do without a major acquisition. So I think just stay in your lane and just kind of know that you still represent the company, whether you're a business developer, an executive, or a marketer.
Right on. Well, where or how can people reach you if you want to be reached?
Yeah, LinkedIn's the best place to find me. It's pretty easy to find. I'm the only Perryn Olson there. I think I'm the only Perryn Olson on Google if you spell my name right. So,
I'll link your LinkedIn in the article then.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's the best place to find me. So.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate it, Perryn. Thanks for taking time, dude.
Yeah, enjoyed the conversation.
All right, thanks.
All right, take care.
All right, bye.